I would point you out to the washrooms and the emergency exits and everything else, but you're all in a different space. What I will do is part of our introduction, though, is acknowledge the traditional territories of the Tsuut'ina Nation, Siksika Nation, the Blackfoot, the Stoney Nakoda Territory, and Treaties 6 and 7, and the ancestral home to the Métis people, on which our offices in Calgary and Red Deer are situated. So when we created EML Canada, we have created EML Canada to be a very welcoming and inclusive space for all. So we want to make sure that we're reaching out and connecting with our Indigenous Canadians as part of our emergency management strategy.
If you can, please to put your name and location where you're from in the chat box as well. That will be one way that we can help record today's activities.
Do some background introduction to the site, talk about our bold objectives, take you on a bit of a tour of the platform, show you some of the tools and features that we have. We'll talk about what it's going to take to grow the network, and then pause at the end for questions. My name is Scott Cameron. I'm one of the co-founders of Emergency Management Logistics Canada. I'm located here in Calgary. Our company is a small Canadian business with a social purpose, and we'll talk a little bit more about that social purpose later in the presentation. My background is largely municipal government. I was the manager of social planning for the city of Red Deer for about 16, 17 years. And part of my role with the city was to head up the emergency social services. I'm a past chair of the Emergency Social Services Network of Alberta, and actually one of the founding members as that organization started back in 2001. And I've had the opportunity to be activated on a number of provincial activations, including the Slave Lake wildfires, the fires in Wood Buffalo, and also leading a 2-day debrief of the ESS response to the Southern Alberta floods.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Pauline Musso, and I'm one of the co-founders of EML Canada with Scott. And I have been in municipal government, all told, about 18 years or so. And I joined Red Deer County, actually, in community services about 3 months after the Pine Lake tornado. And so there I was able to experience the recovery aspect of an event, and certainly was kind of coming to learn information about what it means to be in an EOC and have ICS training. And I participated more on the ESS side of that function. So with that, certainly I was able to participate in one flood activation, enough to know that, I'm not a night person and still recovering from that in some ways, I think. But I really am thankful for all who are in this field and in this sector and being able to lend that hand when it's needed most. From there, I did work for the city of Red Deer for several years and participated more on the ESS side because my role was around neighborhood life, community development, and recreation and social planning. So with that, our combined synergies that Scott and I have, I have known Scott now for so many years, but we also work together and really want to continue that forward as we both entered the private sector. And so with that, really we, when COVID commenced last year, we really were already looking at ways to work together, and we wanted to take some time to recognize that things had changed, but what could we do that could solve some problems and also create something that did have a social purpose and be able to give back. And through that, certainly we just reminiscing with Scott on how this came to be, but certainly a conversation he had with Brad. So really thankful for Brad Eisen with Hazardscape. And as he was launching his business, he also gave us feedback and his thoughts and kind of a proof of concept initial conversation around would something like this be helpful and needed and to assist in the sector. And over the last year in particular, we've had hundreds of hours of conversation. with all different types of NGOs and agencies and networks and businesses, and as well as municipal side of things, to really, again, get a sense for the concept. So thankful to all. Those are just some of the ones that we have engaged with. And with every conversation, we've made an improvement to the site, an addition. And the thing that's different about municipal life versus private life is sometimes these changes can happen in minutes. So, so together we're making it better every day. So what we've really landed on are several bold objectives, and bold, we know that it was a bit of a risk to go down this path, but really believed in the benefit this could bring across Canada. And I know for myself, I've kind of landed where I feel like my wheelhouse is helping those who help others. And so I'm really excited about this. We see this as a platform and a space where we can help grow connections. So for emergency management organizations such as yourselves, and also non-governmental organizations, individuals, and vendors, and making that connection happen. We also want to develop and continue to make available different logistics tools. So everything from the fact that this is a directory-based platform to other tools that we have launched around search and source, being able to respond and offer support, as well as share resources. So we're going to spend a few minutes today actually showing you behind the curtain and see kind of that in action. But also we want to give back. So certainly being able to develop a sector development fund and being able to support further education, training, standardization across the sector.
I'm going to go right to the platform now and take you on a little bit of a tour. The platform is live, and so you're welcome to scroll through here. You have access to many of the features already that at some point in the future, some of those features will start to get locked down to be members only. Some of the tools in terms of the logistics tools are member only features because you have to have a profile to be able to participate in the processes. So just a quick tour, some information about us. Once you've created a login, anytime you go to the site, you can log into your profile up here at the top. We have identified vendor plans and member plans. So as the distinction that we're making is that members are those like the emergency management organizations such as yourself. Vendors would be those that have products and services to sell or make available in a situation. I want to draw attention to the search tool. This is just the basic search tool. And I'll tell you a great little story that we encountered when we were doing a presentation with the students at York University. And we were meeting with a young man who said that he had the experience of being deployed to Northern Ontario. And his director of emergency management said, great, you're responsible for finding food because this community has no restaurants, no hotels, no food stores. And we've got 50 people here that we need to be feeding. He said, I spent 3 days trying to line up food. And we were on this platform just like this. And Pauline did this. She typed in food and hit search. And the Salvation Army popped up and he just went, are you kidding me? That took like 30 seconds. I spent 3 days looking for food to get up to Northern Ontario, and had this system been in place, I could have found it in 10 seconds. Now, that's not always going to be the case, and we were really happy that we had a food vendor already signed up on our system so that worked. But it was an example of the power of this type of tool. So in terms of members, we have a number of different member categories. For the most part, municipalities, we would envision being emergency management organizations in the public sector, which also includes healthcare, education, First Nations, Métis Inuit communities, and Crown corporations, especially for those that might be things like power supply or dams or hydroelectric, those types of things are crown corporations that we wanted to make sure that we were including. You have the ability to be able to join right from that spot there, where it says public EMO join here. We also recognize that there's a whole private sector of emergency management organizations. And so when we talk about EMOs, we're really talking about anybody with a legislative responsibility. So even in your municipalities, you have pipelines, gas and oil operations, potentially mining, forestry, those types of things. We have a space for that public sector emergency management organizations to participate in this process. So when you click on them, and as I said, the Village of Delburn, thank you very much. One of our early adopters. In fact, we piloted a few things with Karen and her team. Thank you, Red Deer County. You've just joined in the last few weeks, and we're really excited to have you on. And we've also got the Fraser Valley Regional District in British Columbia. So anytime you do a search, you're going to get results that look something like this: a list with a very brief description and some basic contact information. When you open this up on your mobile device and you click on the show number, you can call directly from your mobile device to the numbers that are listed. As you look at the listings, you'll see that they get built out significantly more. And we'll show you an example of a well-built directory. Brad has been spending lots of time working on his profile over the years from HazardScape. Excuse me. But you have the ability to connect all of your social media, answer a few questions. And recently we've added this feature here where you can share a number of different files, which could include everything from your disaster management plan through to some summary documents. You can always get to the home page from the top, just clicking on the logo. And we have some benefits already built into the feature. While we're building it out and attracting new members and new vendors, there are features already available on the site and available to you. Things like training events. We'll just take a quick look here. A number of vendors have already created some training events that you can tap into. We have a separate listing for ICS courses. And Michael from the response team has put a number of ICS courses in, which is always great to know when they're happening. And I believe that Michael also has some coupons available so that if you are signed up with EML Canada, you do have some reduced rates. We're not doing a lot of meetings, but in the future, meetings, conferences, trade shows, and I think there was one that I wanted to show in here. Well, actually, just different resources. You have the ability to be able to post your own articles and post your own news as well. Any jobs or volunteer situations that come up that you want to promote. In the logistics tools, and we're going to spend a bit more time, I'm going to turn this over to Pauline in a moment, but available resources is an important new feature that we've built in. Ben at Total Fire Solutions has put a number of items into the available resources. And we had a great conversation with Ben when we were introducing this concept to him. They have a piece of equipment, probably one of the most advanced pieces of firefighting equipment on the planet. And as different parts of the country have been burning, he just keeps wondering, how do we get this piece of equipment out into the field to do what it is designed to do best? It sits in the shop probably 360 days a year. So he was so excited about being able to connect into a system like this, where people would know about the products that he has and be able to tap into them. I'm going to the current activations.
Yes.
Yes. So one of the things that we thought was very important in terms of logistics tools is to start right from the activation. So we've created one here from the village of Delburn. We sent a message to Karen saying, oh, by the way, you have a train derailment test. So if you start getting messages, just hold on. We know it's not happening. So anytime we do a test, we try to put the word test in as much as possible so that people don't get misled. So the situation is this. If you have a membership with EML Canada, you can post an activation as it happens. You can provide updates to that activation as it happens, and you'll see the benefit of doing that. So the activations are set to send out notifications to anybody within, I believe, 100 kilometers of the site of the activation. And it provides you an opportunity to provide your sector, your partners, your collaborators, your neighbors with some basic information about something that is happening in your municipality. In this case, we identified a train derailment. There's an opportunity for you to identify the types of things that you need for support to respond. And here's the beauty of this system. As an activation goes out, other members can then log in and offer support. So I'm going to do that here. Now I'm logging in as my consulting firm, Bassett Social Innovations, and you can see that the tab changed to send an offer of support. So now Karen is going to get a message knowing that it's from my company, myself, with my phone number, and I'm able to write in here, we have 30 whatevers. And then I can hit save changes, and she's going to get a notification on her end with that offer of support. We thought this was a really important feature to have because we know from experience that people want to be able to help, but they don't know who to call, first of all. If they do call somebody, it may or may not be the right person. So at least this is all going to the right place, and it's going to the same place, because how many of us have had the experience where we call somebody, they're in the middle of getting into their vehicle to drive to a site. They might have a post-it note and a pen, or they go, okay, just tell me the information. I'm going to do my best to remember. And stuff happens. And so your offer of support may or may not ever make it to the logistics team, and you may or may not get that phone call. Best case scenario, it makes it to your intended audience. And this is intended to help with that process. So Pauline, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Okay.
And you can show us what it looks like, in this case, on Karen's end, and what the village of Delburn would see.
So what this represents then is the village of Delburn. And when they're logged in, this is what they would see. So this is kind of the reciprocating side of what Scott just did. And so this is what's referred to as the dashboard for your profile. And I'll come back to that in a second, but over here on the left in particular, you'll see view offers of support. So that's where you'll be able to then open that up from your profile. And these are ones that we've sent all previously. So and we see that we have date and timestamp. So that's a change that we just made. So it's exciting to see that. So basically this is where that can be housed then, that you can then reply to the other member directly to follow up with that offer of support. So I guess with that, to know that, again, there's constant improvement that's happening all the time. I'll just go back to the dashboard in particular. And we're going to be looking at another tool in a minute called the search and source, but just a comment about the dashboard, just to know, we understand this might look a little overwhelming right now, but to know that really what this represents are the different features that you're able to do with your membership. So the content that you're able to publish. So these represent, again, you can put in, again, the current activations. This is where you would do that. If you have any member articles, if you have photos you wish to share or video, Perhaps you have a request for proposal that you think would be valuable to share with the community, but also those available resources. Now, really what this represents down here is exactly, it's going to take you to the same place. But then you'll see here that if you have made a post, there would be a number. So in this case, we have Delburn already have made a current activation post, so the number 1 is shared there. So with that, let's say an activation's occurred and you need to get some requests for quotations for things. With our site, you can always direct message another member directly. So, or you can do a search. So again, as our vendor directory becomes even more robust, that is the intention, you can go to the search and source. And the search and source was listed on the left, but also there was another tab that was on the top right side of the profile. So here, what we would do right now, this is just a list of all of the members that exist in the directory. But let's say you wanted to find a consultant. So you would put in the word consult in this case, or consulting, and push search. And then what would happen is out of the entire directory, there would be a more condensed list generated that would give you examples of vendors who have indicated that as one of their specialties. So, you know, the intention at some point, you know, if you need sandbags, you can put sandbags in there. If you need a helicopter, I think if you want a drone, you could put drone in there right now and see a result. But the big thing is what we've added at this stage of the progress here is a download button. So here you would download that information and it would generate an Excel spreadsheet for you that then you would have all the email contacts for those members to then be able to send requests for quotations off to the respective members that you wish to do so. Now, I know Scott's going to speak to that a little bit more, but one thing that we can do here as well in that preparation phase prior to an activation, or even when an activation happens, is let's say you have some vendors that you have established relationships with, or that you've kind of indicated as a preferred. Basically, what you can do is go into that vendor once you've logged in and be able to actually indicate that, just like you like something on Facebook, you can say preferred. And what will happen then is if I go back to the dashboard for Delburn, and on the left-hand side, there's a section that says My Preferred. And if you go there, you can click on My Saved Members. Basically, as well, what will happen is any post of that member that you've clicked as preferred, it will also live here, that you would have a quick snapshot of what they have posted on their site. But here, it's going to switch. So right now, it's showing as BASA as one of the preferred vendors or relationships that are in place, which is really helpful, especially in a procurement situation where if your procurement department, or if you're serving that function, you could go in ahead of time and indicate these are the companies that we know, we vetted through and want to have as our quick response listing. Scott, would you like to build on that?
Sure. Let's maybe just go back to let you know that on the search and source tool, we're really into this is phase 1. We've been chatting with our developer about building out phase 2, and we know what that's going to look like. And ultimately, what's going to happen is you will still have the opportunity to download, but you'll also have the ability to go through and select those that you want to send a request for quote to. Hit send. You will build out your request for quote, and when you hit send, it will forward an email to those vendors directly through the system, and also send them an SMS, a text saying you have a request for quote from Emergency Management Logistics Canada, so that you get a more timely response, and vendors are seeing it in 2 different locations. Then it's still up to them to respond to you, which you'll be able to track in your dashboard. But then I should also mention, we're not a platform for the exchange of money. So whatever relationship you establish or whatever agreement you establish with a vendor, that then is part of your regular procurement process. So it's just an opportunity to be able to search, source, and identify the products and services that you need. I'm going to switch back now to the presentation. Just remind you of the management cycle, the emergency management cycle. We don't think we're magicians, so you don't see the word mitigate up here because we don't think we're going to actually mitigate disaster from happening in your community. We know that it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. But we are here for the preparation, response, and recovery phases. So in terms of preparation, the first thing that we recommend is building a profile. We talk about, it's a 15-minute investment to build a profile. Karen, would you agree that that's a rough assessment to build out a basic profile?
Absolutely. Well, I had one of my staff members do it, but it didn't take her long at all. So, yeah.
Yeah. When we think about the amount of time that it could save, ultimately our vision is that all the members and vendors on our system will be updating and maintaining their contact information. So if you think about the number of hours it takes to update your contact information and your vendor lists every year, if not a couple times a year, save all that time, put the 15 minutes in now, and just go back from time to time and make sure that your information is always current. We will be sending out reminders. You can go in, you can encourage and mark preferred vendors. We say both encourage and mark because we are at this early stage as you sign up, and we're asking you to sign up at no charge at this point to get us established. We want you to be able to reach out to your existing vendors and encourage them to sign up. So if you're signed up and these are the tools you're going to be using, you want your vendors on this site. Taking the time to train your logistics team. We'll be working on some training videos that will make it really easy for you to help your logistics team understand the platform. And then you also, in preparation, have the ability to register for training programs, and we showed you that from the homepage. In terms of response, we walked through the tools that currently exist, the ability to post the current activation, respond to and receive offers of support, and then to search and source products and services. This will become far more robust in the days, weeks, months to come, but we need to start somewhere, and we're starting with you. And then in terms of recovery, we know that recovery can last significantly longer than the actual response. So we envision a number of vendors coming on board that would help in the recovery phase. It might be insurance companies, it might be roofing companies, it might be construction companies, it might be road building, inspections. There's so many angles that we need to think about in terms of who you might be wanting to search for on the site. You have the ability to be able to post reports and learnings. If you're holding an exercise and you want to share the results of your exercise with others, post it on the site, let them know that it exists. And then identify other members and vendors to join the network. We're starting in Central Alberta. We have strategies in place to move it out beyond Central Alberta. Still in Alberta, we've been speaking with government officials about moving it into other provinces and have received interest from other provinces, but we need to start somewhere. We're going to start at home. Yeah, so in terms of next steps or growing this network, we're asking you to take the 15 minutes to build out your profile. Get a bit familiar with the platform, invite others, think about who's in your network, who you want to have in your network. And that includes organizations like the school divisions or folks in the health region, industry that have plants and operations in your area. like the list goes on and on. So take a look at your emergency management plan and see who the partners are in there right now and who needs to be on this system. Encourage the vendors that you know that you'll want to turn to, and let them know that while you already have them on your list, you want to be able to access them through this system. And by adding them to this system, you're making them available to your neighbors. And so when stuff happens, and it will, we want them to be in the front lines to get the call. And then train and maintain your profile information so the information is always current for the other members, and train your staff in terms of using the tools, and then use it and benefit from it. By visiting it often, you'll see new coupons, new offers, new featured products, new postings from other members, new course listings, all the different things that will strengthen your emergency management response. Here's how you get a hold of us. And we welcome you to, we'll open the floor to any questions, and you can certainly pop questions into the chat, and we'll keep an eye out there, and we will stick around until the very end.